be alive. You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could. Times are changing everywhere. Do we dream and do we dare? It's up to you. The door is open wide. Feel the rhythm of today. Learn the part and join the play. The world is here. Let's take it for a ride. You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could. Larger, larger than, bigger, bigger than, living hopes and dreams. Every boy and girl, higher, higher than, brighter, brighter than, all you wanted. You know, you could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted. Hopes and dreams, every boy. You can fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the
I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go. Thought that
Welcome back to Coffee Time Live. Hello, Robert. Buenos dias. Before I get started, I want to welcome to the channel. Coffee Time Live is the live show I do every Sunday at 11 a.m. with hardly any exceptions. It's part of the channel Grand Colombia channel, where I do videos, everything about Colombia, particularly in Armenia where I live, but I travel all around Colombia. However, take a moment here. You know, we just got news that the lockdown number 7 extension, I think, another 2 weeks, July 15th, longest in the world. It's I'm starting to go a little stir crazy. It's really bothering me. Morning, Patrick. But you know, it's like everything else in life. You just got to put your head down, work your way through it. It is what it is, right? Let's do cliches. I want to mention the website grandcolombia.live. There's some new features going up. If you haven't been there before, you might want to check it out. And you can buy the t-shirts and coffee mugs. There's other things too, but t-shirts, coffee mugs. Matter of fact, I'm wearing the Coffee Time t-shirt. What I want to mention on that, a lot of this comes from questions that I get. Do I have to have the logo like this? What you want to do is, if you're going to get a mug or a t-shirt, there's an edit feature. And you could, if you wanted a logo like here, you can do that. I kind of like it smaller and up here, but you can put it however you want to put it. If you have any questions, just shoot me off an email, because you want to make sure you get it right. And if you want to know if the premium t-shirt, which is one of the less expensive shirts, I can tell you firsthand, it's awesome. It's a great material. It's lightweight, it's comfortable, fits great. So answered all those questions. Now I want to thank, here we go. We've got these were the super chats that I got this last month. Escape Explore with G HD Chillin', Coleman, HD Chillin', S. James, Freebird, S. James, and S. James. I want to thank you guys very much. It makes a big difference. Help me get this mic. Hello, Christopher. I rolled out my personal channel, and it came from a couple of you guys. You know who you are. And I think it was spurred by the coffee time maybe 2 weekends ago, where somebody asked me my opinion about what's going on in the United States. So I gave my opinion, and somebody, you know, it's like, they didn't really say they didn't like the opinion, but this is a channel about Colombia, and I was talking about, you know, events that were going on in the United States. And it was a good point, and I had no problem with it. But after that, I got some emails saying, you know, why don't you just, you know, do your personal channel where you can talk about anything and not be constrained about, you know, a topic. I don't know if anybody wants to hear me, but I set the channel up. I've put a couple videos up there. I don't know what it's going to be about, whatever I feel like. The last couple were meme reviews. The next, I'm actually planning a short series, 5 or 6 minutes each, about politics. So you may or may not find it interesting. It's called Sane in Colombia. You can find it in a search, and I've got a Facebook page for it. It's not monetized, and if it ever will be, it'd be years from now. But I suspect that any topic I'm going to talk about will get defunded anyway. I mean, I'm constantly getting defunded here, and I don't do or say anything. So I don't think that channel will ever possibly be monetized. So I'll just, you know, I could speak freely on it. What else we got here? Okay, I've got a handful of topics, and I tried to find some things, you know, here in Colombia that are actually happening beyond just some news segments. So let me switch over. Oh, you notice the green screen's working good, and the colors are better, and I keep chugging away at it. All right, let's go down here. Let's see what we have. Oh yeah, I was playing with some backgrounds. I forgot I had that one up. You'll just have to deal with it. All right, first one. It's been raining quite a bit. You know, it happens a couple times a year. It's been raining quite a bit. And down in Pijao, where I did 1 or 2 videos down there, awesome little town, they got hit pretty hard. And I found a video. It doesn't really show much. I just found it interesting. So let me play it. It's got some sound. Hopefully it's not too loud. Now, this is in the mountains, of course, but it's been flooding down there, so this is kind of an example. This is a road that's not like this. This is very unusual. It's a road that's been turning into a river. It's not like that around Armenia, but it certainly happened. Okay, I was asked about buying insurance, and I'm going to do a video on it when I can get the car registered, and I'll do everything on the process. But just to quickly answer that question, I went to several different websites. The liability insurance is called SOAT, and on this particular website, you can open it up and you can see a chart with the various costs. Below 1,500 cc's, between 1,500 and 2,500 cc's. So it's pretty simple. It doesn't go by your record or anything. It just goes essentially by the year and type of car you have. Hello, guy. Here was another website where you put in the license plate. This is my car. Put in the license plate. You see, automatically kicks up all the information on the car. And I'm going real slow here, apparently. Yeah, I could see that. It's got chassis number, size of the engine, year, make, model. And here you put in all the owner information. I'm not ready to buy the insurance because what's the point if it's just going to sit in the garage? Yeah, that one wouldn't give me a price because I didn't put all the information. Now this one, this is what is it? Falabella. Put in the license plate number. I want a quote, and again, same information, but this one, see, it kicked the price right up. 424,000 pesos. And that's the same price. It's the same price everywhere, but some you can get a discount. Like I noticed on my Rappi account that I can get, if I buy it through them, it's how much? 30,000 discount, I believe. So it pays to go look at the different sites, but it's sold everywhere. It's sold all over the place. So that's how you buy your car insurance. It's real simple. You can print it off, and if you don't have a printer, you print it off as a PDF, put it on a little thumb drive, and then carry it off to the print shop, which is on every street corner. And you've got printed insurance, but they're okay here if you just show it on your phone too. All right, so that's how you buy insurance. This was the other night. I was feeling particularly bummed out, but I was working with my headphones on a video, and I kept hearing this noise. And these headphones that I have are, they pretty much cover your ear and covered the outside noise. But I was still hearing noise, and so I got up and I grabbed my phone, and this is what I was seeing or hearing. It went on for about 20 minutes, which is kind of nice, actually. It cheered me up. So I've been in a foul mood lately, and it was nice that cheered me up. Now this is from AeroPost that I've mentioned a number of times. I have a video card coming, should be here in a few days. And I know some of you are gonna be triggered by the video card that I got, but I'm telling you, it was $50. I paid the $50 to get that. I can't afford the card you guys are talking about. But those cards are more for gaming. This will definitely be a huge improvement over what this machine, not my laptop, but the second one, the backup. It's a huge improvement over what it has, and that will be good enough. And so I've got that coming. I'm almost done with that backup. It's sort of usable now with that video card. It'll be a little slow, but it'll be usable. And that'll be nice. So if I ever crash again, it'll have duplication, and I can I can keep going. What else we got here? Yeah, I wanted to show you that for the purpose of understanding how it works. I'm going to keep talking about that AeroPost because if you noticed on the first part of that, actually, let me pull it up again. You'll see up in the corner there, it says Amazon Fulfillment Service. If I buy through Amazon, I don't buy through Amazon. I take that link, I put it in AeroPost, I let them deal with it. It gets shipped to their warehouse in Florida, and then they send it on to me. There's no extra fees. It's not like one of these shipping companies that you have to spend, $20 a month for, something like that. It's not like that at all. I actually got this video card $5 less than the cost of it was going to be on Amazon. So that happens sometimes too. All right, another bit of news here. This is in Cuenca, Ecuador. They just got a a Belgian foundation to invest $200 million for a new research and teaching hospital in Cuenca, and the old IESS is going to get torn down. Why do I bring this up? I'm getting so much information from people that are getting medical care in Cuenca and having it go wrong. Actually, I should say in Ecuador, and having it go wrong. Infections are involved in a lot of them. Mistakes, misdiagnosis, but a general lack of caring where you just can't get a hold of somebody. There was I don't know if it was a joke, if it was real. It was portrayed as real, and I can believe it, where somebody called into the nurse's station to ask how XYZ patient was doing. And so she gave the information, and she said, can I give him your name, tell him you called? And I'm paraphrasing all of this. And he says, no, you don't have to. It's me. I just couldn't get anybody to come to my room and tell me, so I just called you. It's the state of medicine in Ecuador. It's constantly portrayed about as being all this excellent care and excellent service and modern, and it sucks. It's not good, and people are experiencing something that should take a week and end up a year later. They're still going back and forth. It's not a good thing. This is good news, because this is going to bring outside people in and make it part of the teaching system. And this will not only help Cuenca, but this should be a seed for all of Ecuador to up their health care. Fortunately here in Colombia, every healthcare system is going to have its problems. You can run into a doctor here or there, or a nurse, or a hospital. But, US, Canada, it's all the same. But for the most part, you're going to get top-notch care. And so I'm really happy to see this about Ecuador. It's one of the, things I can't ever say anything nice about, but it needs to be said. Okay. Oh, we want to go back there. What else do we have? Went through that. Oh yeah, a couple other items. Let me get rid of this. All right, we've got a couple other things here. Hold on. I have to push a button. Okay, sorry about that. The Condeo that I'm telling you about quite a bit. That one was, where are we? Okay, this one, you see that just changed the translation. I do that through the browser. Condeo, the government of Condeo, which is the department or like a state, is contributing that amount of money, which is about $400,000 to the University of Condeo. Now, the University of Condeo is 2 blocks from me here, and it's the main university. There's a bunch of universities here, but I would say that's probably the main one. And this is nice. They have a program here, depending on your income, but they actually check incomes. But depending on your income, you could pay nothing to very little. I have a friend who, her father is an appliance repairman, and there's not a lot of money coming in, and she goes to this university, and she pays I think it's 10,000 pesos, like $3 or $4 a month to go there. So she doesn't get it free, but it might as well be free. So that was kind of nice. So I thought I would mention that. And then here, now we just had a day without VAT or without the sales tax on items, which amounts to 19% because we don't have other taxes. I talked about that last week. And in Cali, there were 5 people that had tested positive for COVID, and they had them on house restriction in their own house. It's like an honor system. But on the day that this VAT was, it's like a holiday from the tax on that day. Whatever you buy, you don't pay the tax. They call in to check, and none of those people were at home, and they found out that they were out shopping. And so they're all up in arms. But the thing is, there's so many false positives here. It's it's problematic because you have a better chance of being tested and being told you have it when you really don't than actually having it. And people are aware of that. They talk to their friends and neighbors. People are very social here, and they're aware of it. And so nobody believes it anymore. It's like the boy who cried wolf. Now, I had it. I know it's real, but I also know that it wasn't what they're describing. So I don't know, but we're still in lockdown another, couple weeks. They've already been having protests. I talked about those last week, so we'll see how it goes. Now, this last thing I want to show you here, this is a YouTuber, and what the heck is it? Siran Nokona. We'll say Nokona. I can't pronounce his name. I highly recommend it. If you take a look at his name and type it in, he doesn't have a lot of them. He's living in Medellin, but I envy his editing because he does such a good job. And I don't know, I find it very interesting. This was about not much. I was going the day with a friend of his, a Colombian friend. He doesn't speak Spanish, but they painted and they went out and pulled oranges off a tree and different things. I just found it very interesting because of the way he puts it together. So if you're looking for a different take on Colombia from somebody, I think he's 20 years old, I highly recommend it. I found them interesting. He maybe only has 10 videos up, but I think worth watching. In particular, this one. Okay, so what else we have? Oh yeah, last thing I'm going to show you, and then we're going to get to your questions and maybe my answers. Hi from London. Hello back. Red Golden Child. Get your questions ready. 4 question marks is on a big screen now, but you guys are pretty quiet today. Last thing is this is a cautionary tale. Let this be a warning to you when you go through the airport in Colombia.
Oh, here we go. Yep, salt, self-raising flour, normal flour, baking powder, talcum powder. That's from an athlete's foot. I put them in clear bags every single airport you go through anywhere in the world. Why are they so interested in my condiments and medical necessities?
Yeah, so don't do that. Good morning, BLM. I know who you are. How you doing? All right, question and answer portion, if we have any. If not, I didn't have my coffee yet. I was so busy that I didn't even have my coffee for coffee time. So if we don't have any questions, I'll just pack it up and go make my coffee. But I'm real happy that the green screen, nothing's flickering, it's working good. But it is getting a little warm in here. All right, any questions? any topics that you want to suggest for next time around, feel free. Also, golf ideas. Yes, that's actually the next video coming up. I will tell you this. Yes, there's a good golf course. It's not too expensive here in Armenia, and about every city of any reasonable size, we'll say Armenia and up, has a golf club. And there's a league in Colombia. There's in Bogota, I think there's something like 7 or 8 golf clubs. So anymore. Yeah, there's different websites, and I'll cover that on this video coming up. It'll be out sometime this week, probably Thursday. There's been delays on some videos, but I'm not going to go into why or whatever. I'm putting out enough, suffice it. I did stop doing the podcast this last week just because I had so much going on, and the priority are the videos that I'm going to be showing you. Now, hold tight. I'll explain all of that when I go over it. Public can play, or is it members only? You'll be able to play, but you may end up wanting to join. I mean, if you're living here, you're probably going to want to join. And I actually have an email out to clarify something on pricing. And there's a few other bits of information. I'm kind of dragging my feet a little bit. I want to get that in. But yeah, I saw there's a couple in Medellin. I didn't look on the pricing information there. And I think what you're going to find is when you're in a place like Armenia, where you're not going to have a ton of people like you would in Medellin, that you're going to be a lot more apt to be able to, it's a private club open to the public. I think you're going to find that. I'm from Rochester, New York, and there's, I don't know, dozens and dozens of golf clubs there. But a number of them are private, but you can actually go golf there. So, I think you're going to find that here. I did see Pereira has one, but it's really lacking for information. I think it's relatively new, but I'm not sure. But I may or may not find out by the time I do that video. The video is going to be focused on the sports club here in Armenia, the Bolo Club, and on the golf course here in Armenia. And I'll talk a little bit about like 30 seconds on golfing in general in Colombia. But it's going to be about those two topics. Just joined late. Compare Colombia to Philippines for a living. Yeah, I lived there for a little while. Not a heck of a long time. It was months, not years. But the thing with the Philippines for me, it's way too hot, way too muggy, and living in the Coffee Triangle in Colombia is a world apart. It's completely different. You go to the Philippines and you love the tropicality of it. You like seeing banana trees and all the things tropical. And the interesting thing is here in Armenia, where it's not so hot and muggy and every day is comfortable, but I have the same kind of plants. So we have bananas and pineapples and mangoes and all those things grow here. How does that work? I don't know. But that's one of the biggest things. Another thing about the Philippines is the oppressive poverty really bothered me. It was overwhelming. And I used to have nightmares about it. It just, as a younger guy, I was young and handsome in those days, and you walk down the street there, and it's like you're constantly, and I don't mean in districts. You're just anywhere. You're just constantly, trying to accost you to, go hit the sack with them. These girls are, there's just all these girls there, and I'm saying that quickly and kind of crudely, but it's just like every time you turn around, there's somebody wants to hook up with you, and a place like this, it's not like that. I mean, if you go to Las Vegas and you go to certain areas looking for that, you're going to find it. Or New York, there's areas. Well, here in Colombia, it's the same way. There's certain areas. It's called Medellin. No. All right. Sorry, Medellin people. But parts of Medellin, it's like that. If a girl comes up and talks to you in those situations, you're automatically suspect. It's like, all right, what do you want, like that? And in the Philippines, I'm just not comfortable just constantly having that mindset. Does anybody actually just want to meet and talk and have a coffee? Does everything have to be a business transaction? So, I didn't like that. But really the biggest thing for me was the heat and the humidity. The poverty, which translates directly to what I was just talking about. These days, the cost, it's not that great. I think in a lot of things, it's actually priced better here, if you can believe that. Maybe because the Philippines is so popular and it's got, tens of thousands of people living there, and here in Armenia, we've got a couple hundred. I don't know. But those are the first things that come to mind. Are you planning to go back to the USA? I actually am not planning to go to the USA. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here because I don't like the USA. I love the USA. Despite everything that they're going through right now, the entire world at some degree is actually going through what's actually happening there. It's a power struggle. And put that aside, it's an awesome place, awesome people. It is not a racist country by any means, despite what the news wants you to think. It's a good place that has certain characteristics of trust that don't exist in most of the rest of the world. That's very nice. So I have nothing. I'm not here because I don't like the USA. I'm here because I always like to travel. I traveled to 20 countries outside of the United States. I've lived in Japan for 3 years, and I lived in Ecuador for 3 years. And, I've told you guys this before. I lived in Colombia for a while before. I'm about 2.5 years now in total in Colombia. Excuse me. And Colombia really hit a chord. And I always had this idea about, when I retire, when I'm not working anymore, what an awesome place that would be. And lo and behold, I ended up back here. I mean, I could go back. I've got a place that I could stay, and my permanent address is there. My bank is there. I could do that. But right now, I'm so far from being tired of here. If I ever get bored, if I ever get tired, maybe I'll go back. But I honestly, I don't see that in the future. Something drastic would have to happen for me to decide I don't want to be here anymore. I love it here. And, if I'm comfortable and this is what I like, then why would I leave? So no, I have no plans to go back. Although if I go anywhere, well, I've got to get back to Cuenca, Ecuador for some practical things, but I've got some friends there I miss and I want to go back. But outside of that, if I ever make a trip, it probably would be to the U.S. Just to, drink it in for a little bit. Quality of life is so much better in Colombia. I just love it here. My quality of life is tremendous. And even when I went through my financial hardship that some of you are aware of, that went on for a whole bunch of months, I don't know how I would have survived anywhere. I couldn't have coped with it in Ecuador. But here, I was able to adjust to things, and there were good ways to buy food and still have you know, you can be dirt poor and have a great life here. And you just can't say that for a lot of places. Have you been learning how to speak Spanish? Yeah, but I'll tell you this, this quarantine is killing it because I'm not practicing it. I'm not hearing it every day. I'm not practicing it. If, you know, when this isn't on, I'm out every day. I'm out walking and interacting with people, and you run into some English speakers a lot more now than last year and 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you didn't run into any. So you run into more and more here. There's a big push here for the language schools. But yeah, I was doing pretty good. I mean, I could go to the store and I could ask for what I want, and I could have, you know, basic conversations, and you know, it was getting comfortable for me. And I don't know. We'll see when this is all over. I'm sure it'll come back quick. But you know, I used to be fluent in Japanese, and I can barely remember certain key phrases anymore. You know, so how sad is that? It's this, you know, I got a weak brain, I guess. It doesn't hold things. It processes pretty well. It just doesn't retain very well. So we have any other questions? I know there's about a 10-second delay here. If we don't have Coleman, thank you. Appreciate that very much. Use it or lose it is a saying. Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely true for me. And I don't know. There's a couple things going on with this isolation that it's kind of bugging me. And there's things that never bothered me before. But I'm noticing acutely, I'm acutely aware of me not being able to think of a name of something, or, you know, I draw these blanks, and it's like, man, I should know that. How can I not know that? I had one this morning trying to think of a music artist, and all I could think of was Leon Redbone. It's like, oh, that's not it. So I said, hey, Alexa, who wrote the song Hallelujah? Who wrote the song? And, oh, yeah. It's like, how can I not remember that? So I've been having that going on. I've had some on the channel, so I don't know what that's about. I've always had that a little bit, but it seems like I'm noticing it more, or it's happening more. And the other thing is, well, you can't really see it now, but depending on the light, it looks like I'm getting bald here. But my hair is really fine. And I think it's just because I'm going stir crazy and I don't have anything else to do. And I don't know that it's going bald. I think it has more to do with I'm never getting any sun. And so I think the top of my head is white. And because my hair is so fine, it's always been so fine. I mean, look at it. It's like feather. And it's been like that my entire life. You know, so I keep noticing the white showing through, and I think I just need to get out and get a little color, but I don't know. Exactly. Leonard Cohen, that's right. So I had her play the channel. Some of my favorite music is by him. But here's the thing. I mean, he's an artist that I've listened to for decades, and to just draw a blank on it, and I'm just finding that. But it seems I guess it's probably this isolation is just having this weird effect on me. Everything was fine for a while, but I keep thinking these poor guys in the International Space Station, but at least there's usually 2 or 3 of them. They might be worse. They probably, how do they keep from killing each other? But these are the things. It's like, what else do I, outside of working constantly, you don't have much else to do but look at your top of your head and trying to think of music. All right, Robert, message me. What do we got here? What are you doing? Message me your. And so I think the top of my head is white, and because my hair is so fine. Look at this guy. It's been so fine. I mean, look at it. It's like
watching your hair.
Oh my God, you're crazy. Keep your hands on the road, keep your eyes on the road. Okay, what? Okay, so I think that's it. Enough whining. If you're of a mind and if you have any time, check out my personal channel and give me your honest opinion of whether I should just stop doing it or if I do it, any kind of topics that you're thinking about. And the topics that I'm going to be talking about are things that are just constantly misunderstood and talked, just never explained properly when you hear it in context in the news stories or something like that. It's capitalism, socialism, and communism. Why they're not comparable. So I am going to talk about that. Can you go to places like Salento and stay there for a while? No. I can't. You can't leave Armenia. I can go out and walk around, but I tell you, I think I'm turned into a, what do they call them, agoraphobias, or where you don't want to leave your house. I'm actually finding where when the time comes, I'll probably have to get somebody to drag me out. I don't know, like I say, it's having a real effect on me at this point. It's a good thing I was never in submarine service, because I'd probably be murdering people in their sleep right about now. It's getting depressing. Have I been to Cali at all? Many times I've been to Cali. Do you like it? No, I hate it. Cali sucks. It seems less expensive than Medellin and Bogota. Yeah, that's true. That is definitely true. Especially, where you live. Now, I told you what I think of it. That's my immediate response. I did a video about 4 things I hate about Cali a couple years ago. I got a hate email from a Colombian from Cali who just took exception. But the funny thing was, where he ripped on me in the email, but he actually agreed with every one of my points. He just didn't like that I mentioned it. So that's usually the way it is. I'm usually pretty spot on about things. Cali has some nice areas, and you could make it a nice life there, but it's way too hot. There's just too much about it I don't like. I could never live in Cali. Every time I go, and I don't know how many times I've been, I would guess maybe a couple dozen. Every time I go, I can't wait to get out. And every time I go, except for maybe the first or second time, it's always because I have to go to Cali to go through it to do something else. So yeah, I don't go anymore if I can help it. Am I mixed race? Well, my father was born in England, my mother was born in France. So, but then English and French are pretty much all inbred anyway, particularly the kings and queens. So, can you recommend somebody to help with visa and cedula? You don't need much help. I can help you. If you look on my website, I did a video on visas. You can look that up. Cedula, all it is you go to an office and they take your picture and you give them some money and you wait a couple days. It's so simple. But there's an office in Pereira that I recommend, and anybody that I've recommended that's gone through them has always sang their praises. I use them. I know probably getting up to about a dozen people by now in the last 2 years that I know firsthand that have used them, that everything was great. So getting your visa here and your cedula is really a walk in the park. If you can't find the information, send me an email and I'll attach the the business card of the. I have photos of the business card, so I'll attach that to it. But that's also in the video that you might want to watch. It goes back probably a year and a half ago. I did a video, maybe a year ago. Just go into the search on, go to my channel page, and there's a search, not the big YouTube search, but the search for my channel page, and just type in Visa, and it should come up there. Don't worry, with all you're feeling the same way. Yeah, it's confront the new life in Armenia. We didn't have to delete it. Do you use Bitcoin? No, I do not use Bitcoin. It's I've looked at it a few times, but it's like I got to invest a big part of my life in order to get it set up, and I don't know. I haven't seen any real advantage to it for me, so no, I never have. I actually have a Bitcoin account with some ungodly long string of, but no, I don't use it. Your channel's fabulous. Awesome, thank you. Doing an awesome job. Please keep sharing your thoughts about Colombia. You're the reason why some of us are considering to relocate back to Colombia. 30 plus years. So you were in Colombia 30 some years ago and you're thinking about coming back. It's I was here 20 some years ago, and the difference between then and now is it's completely different. Colombia was a rough country 20 years ago. The unemployment was more than half of the people were out of work. Crime was insane. A lot of desperation, which is a shame, because you have a culture here that's basically a good, honest, moral culture, and you had all these good people have to go through this, and it was really tough. And it's why I didn't come back initially. I went to Ecuador because after being in the hospital and being as sick as I was, and I was so out of shape, I couldn't imagine coming back to the way it was 20 years ago. I was tough and I could take on the world and nobody would mess with me because, I knew how to handle myself. But, you get older, you're in bed for 2.5 years, you lose all your muscle, you can't even walk, I just couldn't picture going back. And then I realized Colombia is different. Well, of course it's different. And then I started making trips. I made a total of 7 trips when I moved back to Colombia from Ecuador, back and forth. And that's 7 of the trips through Cali. And actually more than, so that's 7 and then 7. So that's 14 right there. But I must have been a couple dozen times at least. You're in a good position to confront new world, living in Armenia. Thoughts on living La Castellana by the military base? It's very nice over there. I think you'd probably want a car, but it's one of the nicer areas. I've shown it. One of my favorite condo buildings is right over there. I don't remember the name of it. That's not a brain crunch. It's just I never Hovel or Hoven or something like that. No, it's a beautiful area. Yeah, there's a lot of new developments over there, and the views are awesome. What's cool about it is that's the edge of Armenia, and it drops off to, I don't know, 1,000 feet down, and then it goes back up, and on the other side is Kalarka. And so if you build a building here, there's not going to be a building in front of you because of that huge Grand Canyon size ravine. So that's pretty good. You're helping me to be a better person. You're a good role model for young people. Oh my God. Oh, you don't know me. I'll go back to Colombia after they all... Just remember, we all have our dark sides. We all have our seedy side. Second choice city to live in after Armenia, Manizales, without a doubt. As a matter of fact, if you're a bigger city kind of person, and if I didn't have the emotional attachment that I have with Armenia that goes back many years, I would have stayed in Manizales. I think Manizales is one of the best cities in the world. It doesn't have as much as Medellin, but it's mostly upside there. Where Medellin, I mean, it's a smorgasbord. I mean, you got areas that you don't want to go into. You got all, and you know, there's one particular area, Manizales, that's true. But the thing is, it's so out of the way, you would never go there unless you went there intentionally. In Medellin, you could just kind of go out and, you know, walk around and find yourself in a place where you probably shouldn't be. But it's not so much about that. I don't really worry about safety issues too much. It's too crowded and it's really polluted. Manizales, there's no pollution. It's kind of like here. It's certainly not too crowded. It's the beauty of the place, sitting on top of a mountain, looking at the mountains around you, and way off in the distance where it can't hurt you, there's a smoking volcano. I mean, it's just too cool for words. And as much as I've done videos there, I look at the videos and I go, there's no way that's portraying what I'm seeing with my eyes. You know, you need to smell the smells and feel the breeze, and videos just don't cut it. That's one of the hard parts about, you know, doing the videos that I do. It's saddening every time you're editing it, because it's like, damn, it was so much better than that. But it's just the way it is. Another question for people looking to relocate: if you own your own home apartment, which I don't recommend, what would you say you need in terms of dollars to get by? $800 to $1,200. If you have your own home and you have $800 to $1,200, and you're living in Armenia, you're living good. You're living a good. You're not going to live like a king, but you're going to live a comfortable middle to upper middle class lifestyle. If you want to live like a king, you have an income of $3,000, $4,000 a month, then you can start living like a king. Any update on the tunnel? It's scheduled to be completed this year. I talked about it 2 videos ago, maybe. I talked about it recently, and I showed some a clip or photos from it. I don't remember which. I think it was a bunch of photos. And it's moving along. You know, I don't remember exactly when it's supposed to be done, but so far, the last I saw, which was a few weeks ago, they're on target. What a difference it'll make. And it'll open up the world to Ibagué, and its trips to Bogota is going to, you know, it's going to be half the time. It's going to be so much easier. I mean, to get in your car and drive to Bogota in 5 hours, and, you know, it's going to be awesome. The Dark Lauren is for the super double secret membership level viewers. oh, I had somebody ask me, and I said I would answer here, and I don't know if he's there. He was having trouble finding the subscribe button. And it depends. If you're on TV, then you've got to move down, and you'll have a row of things that you can interact with, and to the left there's a button, and you click it and there's more, and you can hit the thumbs up and you can subscribe that way. If you're on a laptop, you just look below the video and it's right there. The membership thing, there's a button that says join. That's to actually join the membership. But to the right of that is a subscribe button. And if you hit subscribe and you hit the bell, you'll get notified when I put a video up. If you just hit subscribe, there's a good chance you may or may not. You'll be able to search easier, but YouTube, it used to be that way, but then they added the bell. I don't know, make people jump through hoops. It's, you know, I have people all the time, why didn't you do that video you said? I did. It went up last week. You know, why didn't get noticed? I can't help that. Yes, it was. And the reason many of us left, so much to thank Americans, and the reason I love and always love the USA. Now an American showing me the way back home. Wow, that's sweet and heavy. Yeah, the USA, particularly with younger people here, are given bad lessons about what went on in the 80s. The Americans were here taking advantage, but it's not so much anti-American. It's life in general is not described to people. You know, I run into a lot of college age people, and they don't know their own history as recent as 80s and 90s because the schools are teaching them the wrong thing. They're getting, the poor FARC. You know, the FARC were only socialists trying to, work for the good of the people. This is what they're being taught. And that's just crazy. And I ask them all the time, I say, well, what do your parents have to say about that? Well, they say that's just crap, and don't listen to it, don't believe it. Yeah, because they were alive. They lived through it. They know what it was. Listen to your parents. The schools are, trying to brainwash people, and they're giving a lot of bad information. But you were here then, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You mentioned you prefer Manizales as well. Pareda. Pareda is not for me. I mean, it's way better than Kali, but it's too hot. I don't know. It's just, I'm not comfortable in Pareda. I did 3 videos recently, walking through, showed downtown, showed an older neighborhood, showed a newer, more upscale neighborhood. So take a look at that. There's a lot of nice things in Pareda. I'll tell people I hate it. Well, I don't really hate it. I lived there before, and I really didn't like living there. And every free moment I got, I came to Armenia. So, what does that tell you? But here in Armenia, I have no urges to go to Pareda. Is Manizales walkable? You can sort it out to be that way. If you live on the top of the hill, on this ridge, it's 23 is the avenue. If you live up there, you've got a number of malls, you've got all kinds of shopping centers and restaurants, and you got a ton of things that are walkable within, from end to end, it's probably about 4 or 5 miles maybe. So you could walk this way and then walk back, and it'll be a pretty good workout. And that's all without really climbing hills. I mean, you'll get some grades here or there a little bit, but it's all doable. If you're walking down off of 23, which there's not a whole lot down there, it's mostly residential and things like that, but that's going to be a hike. I mean, I did it, and I did a couple of videos in Manizales showing some of it. I remember this one, I did a video clip that, again, I don't know if it came across in the video, but it had an angle that was just crazy. Like if you park your car there, your emergency brake and your gear won't hold you, you better block the wheels. So, if you walk there, then, it's going to be tough. But you can arrange your life in Manizales where everything that you want is in walking distance without having to go down into, then you have to come back up. Or you can walk down and take a taxi back up. But the thing I found is walking down is, in a lot of ways, was more difficult for me because it's so steep. It kind of jams your toes down into your shoe. It was really uncomfortable to walk as steep as some of those were. I did one video showing the taxi from the bus station, which is at the bottom, showing the taxi coming all the way up to the top. You might want to take a look at that. It's sped up a little bit, but and you'll get a sense of if you go that way. But I'm telling you, if you live on 23, tons of apartment buildings and houses, and if you live on 23 or within a block of it, everything you can possibly want will be on 23 without having to climb some mountain. One last thing, you mentioned you don't recommend to own in Colombia. Why is that? Well, why own? If you know, well, let me put it this way, and this comes up a lot. I guess I shouldn't say don't buy. It's certainly safe enough to buy, but I highly recommend that before you buy any particular place or area that you live there for a year or so, because things are never what your first impressions are. And once you buy, it can be really difficult to sell. So once you buy, you may be stuck there or stuck with a property. You can arrange it if you get a price that's low enough, and if it's a rentable property. So even if that happens, you can always rent it and go somewhere else. But all those things become problematic, and my whole life ever since I was in the hospital and on death's door, ever since then, it's been about trying to make my life simpler, which doesn't seem to work with these channels. They just keep getting more and more complicated. But my life itself is simpler. The future is not good here in the U.S. Stay in Armenia. My mother lives in Armenia. The future will be okay in the U.S., and I'll talk about that on my personal channel. My personal opinion. I think there's an awakening. Simon Bolivar liberated Colombia from the Spanish. Watch that on Netflix. I know that story so well. I've seen several movies about Simon Bolivar, all of that, and it's a great story, and highly recommend that people know that story, even if you're not coming here. He's the George Washington of South America. I think you said the weather is much better in Armenia. Absolutely, absolutely. People are always telling me it's the same weather. I live here. I live there. It's not the same weather. In terms of construction, the area sits along the fault line, and Armenia suffered greatly years ago. Would you say the quality of new construction is better today to withstand the quake? Yeah, ever since that happened, everything is earthquake standard. We had a quake, not here. The chances of another quake here are slim to none. Historically, it's like every 4,000 years in this area. But like all of South America and North America, there's quakes elsewhere that you can feel sometimes. And we had one that was pretty strong. It was about, I think, 50 miles away or something, maybe last year. In this building, you could feel, because what they do is the foundations will be flexible. And so you could feel this one. That's to absorb the energy. And plus, I've watched them construct, and I can see what they're doing. And the foundations, will sometimes they've got a couple different types. One type, it's like a rocking chair built in the foundation. That's one of the more expensive ones. They use more for 10 stories or taller. But the building is completely different now. There's standards. There's permitting that takes place for these things. It's not like Ecuador or what it used to be like here. It's pretty modern. I've heard the same thing. Difficult to sell after you buy. Title to property can be problematic. It's too much hassle. Well, the title here isn't too bad. In Ecuador, it can be a nightmare. In Ecuador, you can buy a property and then you find out later that you don't really even own it. There's issues in Ecuador. Here, those things aren't there. You buy a property, you got a property. But it's really more a matter of you need to be in a place for a period of time before you invest, unless you're filthy rich and it's money you don't care about. You need to invest to be sure that that investment wasn't a mistake. Because when you're moving to any place that you're not that familiar with, you don't know how the neighbors are. You don't know, the sewer truck goes by and unloads near. I mean, there's just too many things you don't know. You have to live there for a while. And so I would say a year, and then go ahead and put your money in it. That's James, $5. Thank you so much. I mean, it's like I swear you come through every week. Thank you very much. Why would you want to buy a property in a country you're not from? A bit strange. Just enjoy the country and travel around. Well, I get it, because if you're going to a country that you're not from, but particularly if you're in the retirement mode, and that's where you usually hear it, is you got somebody who has a house in the United States. It's not going to do any good to sit there. That can be a problem. So you sell that house, but then what do you do with that money? Well, if I put it back into another house, that's something I don't have to worry about. And when you don't have, tax issues and a lot of things that will, once you own a house here, you own it and you don't have big expenses surrounding it, or a condominium. So those advantages to it also. And it's like, okay, I'm going to live there for the rest of my life. So I'm 65 years old. I'll probably die when I'm 85. So for the next 20 years, I don't have to worry about it. I'm living there and I'm happy. I'm comfortable. That all makes sense. I get all of that. My caution isn't that you shouldn't buy in general. My caution is that it takes a long time, up to a year, to know a particular area, and sometimes it's not practical. It's maybe there's no place to rent in the area that you want to be, so that you can learn about it. Then write it off. It's my feeling, because the mistake is going to be a $50,000 to $100,000 mistake probably. That's, in my world, that's a lot of money. So again, it's all opinion. It's just my opinion. I've made mistakes renting before, and thank God I didn't buy a property in those situations. When I was in Ecuador, I moved 3 times. Oops. I'm really happy with this microphone. And I had to move it down because when I first used this, I kept bumping it with my hat. I don't know. So when I'm editing, I kept hearing all these clunks and bangs, and it's like, oh my God. So I moved it down so now I can't accidentally hit it with my hat, but I keep bumping it with my hands. So I also end up sometimes getting too close, and I think I'm causing some popping, but I'll learn, I'll adjust. All right. So nice conversation. Really appreciate you guys. I put some very nice comments. I will thank you for that. How can I chip in a few bucks like S. James? I appreciate you for answering all my questions. It's actually pretty simple. Right where you enter in, well, there's so many ways. So the rest of you, I apologize. It's going to be a 1-minute advertisement here. If you go down to where you enter the advertisement, you see where your comment, you see there's a face for the emoji, and right next to it there's a $sign. You click on that $sign, it's called Super Chat, and it comes up, and you can put a comment in there. And if the chats are really busy, I'll give you a hint. If you're in a YouTuber that has an extremely busy chat and you want to get their notice, put something in and put it there. It puts it up on this big banner. They can't miss it. And you can just put a small amount, but they're going to notice and respond to you. With me, we don't have that worry, but that's one way to do it. Also, go to grandcolumbia.live, and there's a page there, contribution. It shows all kinds of different things you can do. There's subscriptions, and there's one-time things, and there's a GoFundMe. So there's all kinds of ways to do it. One of my contributors that's been contributing for almost 4 years goes to my Google Pay and just sends it that way. Yeah, you found it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think we're at last call for questions. I have to pause here because there's a 10-second delay. Coffee on me. I appreciate it. Actually, I have to buy coffee tomorrow. I've got just enough for my coffee today. Okay, well, I worried that too many English-speaking people are going to take over Colombia if they find out how good it is. You know, we all worry about that. We don't want to see it changed or ruined or corrupted. And it happens in some areas. I mean, if you go to Poblado in Medellin, it's in Colombia, but it's not Colombia. You know, it's something else. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just very different. The people act differently, and the Colombians act differently. On the other hand, you know, it's way overblown to say, "Well, I want to live like how the natives live," and that's overblown. I saw that a lot in Ecuador. I want to live like the indigenous live. No, you don't. They don't want to live like that. You know, a place like Armenia, it's a happy medium. This is not a big party town, and it's not on everybody's radar, and I don't have millions of viewers. So I'm not really worried about it, but it is always a concern that if something good is found out that, you know, it'll end up getting overrun. Are you able to speak about your time in Japan? Yeah, but probably not here on this channel. If you send me off an email, maybe I'll do a segment on the personal channel. I will be doing weekly live on there about any kind of topic, but we're probably a week or two away from that happening. You know, I'm between the podcasts and this and my regular videos and the depression I'm going through right now and the personal channel. It's like, you know, I got 18-hour days. So, but I'll get to it. It's what's keeping me sane is work. It's always been the case for me. I have to work. I need to work. So when it was suggested to open that, you know, the one side of my brain says, you're overcommitted now. And the other side says, yeah, but I won't be so bummed out. Yeah, I won't have time to think about that. I'll be so tired. And that's what happens. By the time I'm done working, I'm about falling asleep in the chair, and I lay down and I'm out. I don't even, you know, stay awake, you know, thinking about things. It's like somebody turns off a light switch. So for that part, it's good. All right, I think we've milked it enough. I think we're good to go. Don't forget there's t-shirts, coffee mugs. When's the golf video coming? Well, hopefully I can get it done for this week, Thursday. That's the plan. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same station. Same bat time, same bat channel. All right, see ya.